How my party found out we may be fallen gods. Hi everyone, All Things D&D is back with another story. A good character's backstory can make or break a game. Having the entire campaign based around the character's backstory that the players are unaware of? A bold and creative move that works out beautifully in this story. Tell us about your unique backstories or brilliant ways your DM has surprised you after listening to this. First, a party intro. Sigurdi, me, a halfling rogue. Rowan, an elven rogue. Derek, a human ex-mercenary. The DM. This was his first campaign to last more than one session. So, our story begins in a small town during a festival. A small army of mounted soldiers attacked, burning the town's food stores and livestock. They were looking for a little girl. They claimed she was some lord's long-lost daughter. They found her, took her, and left wagons of supplies. Sigurdi watched the entire event from a hiding place. Derek tried to charge the army, alone, but was shot in the back with a paralyzing crossbow bolt by Sigurdi. After the army left, the party found a wounded soldier. He offered to lead us to where the girl was being taken, if we didn't kill him. They agreed, and after picking up a couple more companions, left town. After deciding to take a shortcut through the mountains, they were led to an old dwarven tunnel. They stayed in that dark hole for over a week, fumbling through puzzles and battling a small horde of sightless creatures. When they exited the tunnel, they camped in a grassy clearing. That night, the camp was invaded by a barrel that tried to sneak to the food supplies. Turns out that a halfling child was using the barrel as a home of sorts. Sigurdi caught the child and asked where he was from. His hometown hasn't existed in a few hundred years, so Sigurdi, who's female, decided to adopt the child, who then claimed his name was Dirt Mud. After being fed, Dirt offered his magic necklace, which was a crown of minor invisibility, to Sigurdi. After another week or so on the road, the party ran into a group of Imperial huntsmen. The huntsmen had been tracking a legendary buck through the countryside for days. Dirt insisted on going with the hunters to see the buck, and because they were heading the same general direction, they decided to travel together. When they caught up to the animal, the hunters knocked their arrows and drew their bows. They released a barrage of arrows, one of the arrows piercing the beast's neck. A beam of brilliant white light shot out of the wound in the buck's neck. The light split into a multitude of smaller beams that struck each of the hunters. The hunters collapsed to the forest floor dead. The buck turned into a beacon of blinding white light. The party was forced to shut their eyes, and when they opened them, the light had subsided. The buck transformed into an old elf. In this world, if a god fails in their duties, they must live as mortals, unaware of their true nature, until they can understand why they failed. The elf was ascending to godhood before their eyes. They were granted a gift to aid in our journey. Sigurdi got an immovable rod, Rowan got a cloak of misty step, and Derek got a magic tower shield. They were heading the right direction. Before long, they saw a large camp in the distance. Their captive soldier informed them that they were at his camp. They decided to scout the area and make a plan before taking action. When a small caravan was spotted leaving the camp heading their way, the plan was to ambush the wagons and get some answers. Sigurdi was thrown into the air to hang from her immovable rod over the road, where she could throw knives down on the wagon. Derek was to block the road, and Rowan would hit their flank. The combat happened fast, most of it. Within seconds, both drivers were dead, knives jutting from the tops of their helms. Rowan had entered the back of the wagon. Derek unhitched the horses and rounded the wagon. Several soldiers tried to flee, unaware of Sigurdi above. She dropped the last one by crushing his leg with a gold bar. By this time, Derek was climbing into the wagon to see a large man, every bit of 7 feet tall, throw Rowan through the wall of the wagon and into the woods. As Derek and the large man fought in the wagon, they tore through the top of the wagon. Seeing her friend and bodyguard in trouble, Sigurdi leapt from her perch onto the large man's head. Rowan was hurt. Derek wouldn't last long, and this guy was 5 times Sigurdi's size. They had to end this soon. Derek was fighting hard, but lost his helm, then his spear, and finally his shield, all destroyed. Sigurdi was barely an annoyance to the man, but she held her ground, clinging to his helm and trying to pull it off. None of it mattered. The man grabbed Sigurdi and threw her across the road, before slamming Derek to the dirt. Seeing the battle lost, Rowan and Sigurdi fled into the woods. Derek and their other companions were captured. So, long story short, the soldiers that the party were after were actually rounding the girls up, under orders of the Baron, to keep them safe from the king that wants to sacrifice them. Derek joins the Baron. Meanwhile, Sigurdi and Rowan spend a week or so in the woods, making plans to rescue Derek, before being spotted by the Baron's men. After asking about Derek, the two go back to the Baron's camp. They join the Baron as well for their own reasons. The very next evening, the camp is attacked by the king's men. Dozens of cannons and a gargantuan mechanical iron golem that can fire a laser crest the hill. The Baron orders the girls to be sent out of the camp to keep them safe, while the party prepares to face the invaders. Derek and Rowan take the cannons, Sigurdi headed for the golem. As the cannons were taken out one by one, Sigurdi was scaling the golem. As Derek turned a cannon to fire on its allies, Sigurdi was squirming between giant armored plates and rotating gears. As Rowan sent a cannon rolling downhill to crash into a squad of invaders, Sigurdi was jamming her immovable rod into gears and sprockets to disable the mechanical enemy. That's when it went very wrong very fast. Sigurdi must have missed something, some error in her calculations, when she went to disable the last component. The rod slipped, Sigurdi lost balance, and her left arm was caught in the gears. It was pinched off just above the elbow. She had just enough in her to cry out in pain before blacking out. Days later, Sigurdi wakes up. The battle was lost. The girls were captured. The Baron is dead, and her wound is healed naturally. After her injury, Rowan and Derek abandoned the battle to rescue Sigurdi. Dirt had healed Sigurdi somehow after she was found. The golem, unable to move, had continued to fire its laser until it was destroyed the next day. That night, they all had a dream. A woman claiming to be a goddess wanted their help. She had fallen ages ago, and after refusing to admit her mistakes and learning of her true nature, desired to retake her position. She was using the king to sacrifice the girls. All three of them turned her down. Now they knew where the girls were, where they had to go. Derek recruited a halfling village, and they marched for the capital. They arrived a week later, and after fumbling their way through hiding a halfling army just outside town, they searched for where the girls were being held. Everything pointed to the temple in the center of town. They returned to their army and formed a plan. At dusk, they would launch the attack. Just before dusk, Rowan pulled Sigurdi aside. He very awkwardly expressed his love and admiration for Sigurdi, who promptly returned the sentiment. They shared a quiet embrace before readying themselves for battle. Derek led the halflings in a charge straight to the temple, while Rowan and Sigurdi set about finding a quieter way in. Cultists and Kingsguard were cut down as the party worked their way inside. In the main area of the temple, they found the girls, tied up on stone altars. The Baron, alive, was chained to a side door in a way that would rip him in half, should the door be forced open. In the center of the room was the goddess, a woman glowing bluish purple with long tendrils for fingers. She sneered, then launched into an attack. She lashed at the party, her fingers like whips, striking and choking anything in her reach. One of the girls was dead, another being drained of her life force. Sigurdi ran to the altars and began pulling the girls from them. Rowan and Derek used body and shield to keep the goddess busy, every successful strike causing the glow to become stronger. As Sigurdi pulled the last of the girls from their altars, Derek dealt the goddess a fatal blow. She began glowing brighter. It hurt to look at her. Then Derek grabbed her, pulled her into his side room and barred the door. He intended to sacrifice himself for his team. Sigurdi and Rowan would not have it. After trying to get into the room, they sat down in front of it. The three of them had started this quest together. They would end it together. They said their goodbyes, and when the goddess exploded, Sigurdi and Rowan died in each other's arms. The two awoke together in an endless gray void. The elf that had ascended before them was there. He explained why so much of what happened had to happen. He explained that Dirt was actually the god of time and had been sent to live as a mortal for abusing his power, like he did when he healed Sigurdi's arm. They were being sent back to live again if they chose. Sigurdi and Rowan both wanted the chance to find the other again and agreed. It never occurred to them to ask if they were gods themselves. The end. I really like the idea of a campaign where the players have a high chance of dying, to be reborn as the same god in a different host. It would be really hard not to metagame, but it could be really amazing. Has anyone run a game like this? If so, you need to let me know how it went. Please let us know what you think and comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, All Things D&D. Our videos are posted every Tuesday and Friday, so stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.